Right, let's start the day. Hello everyone! How are you all doing? Oh, look at those icicles! Look at that! That is solid, you poor things. Right, let's let you out. And you need food. Oh, it's so noisy. I got fed up of having to push this open with a stick, so now I have a pulley system. Look, I pull it closed and I pull it open. It's great. And then just tie it off. Yay! Oh, watch yourselves. There we go. Go on then. Go on, guys. Look how big Tenzing's gotten. Look at this big fella. Oh, you're so big. Yes, you are. I'll tie that off in a bit. Oh, so you may notice a bit of netting. That's because we've had bird flu. These guys have to be separated from wild birds. And this was just a temporary measure that I put in place. And then I'm going to build a barrier around here and fix the top as well, because you can see it's fallen down. We've had a little bit of snow and the snow settled on top and then just crashed it down, so I will sort that out. You're not going to come out into the pond? Come on. There we go. There we go. So you can see my babies have all grown up. That's Fiver, he's one of my original males. That is Nibbler, one of the original females. And then everyone else in that pond are those little tiny babies. And this is Blondie. This is the blonde little baby. She's beautiful. Look at you. But not at all what I expected her to look like, I must admit. Not at all. Anyway, they're all in there. I'm just going to sort out the quail. Hi guys. Ooh, you need food. Yes you do. You need food. Right, I'll go do that now, and then I shall tell you about the ducks. Whew, it is cold. Okay, so I've just... This was all iced up and they couldn't really walk on it very well, so I've just poured a watering can of warm water on there to defrost it, so that's a little bit better for them. Introducing ducks, things I have learned. As I say, this is because of the bird flu outbreak that we've had. I'm going to get a better thing built in, but let me see if I can find a blanket. There we go. Here we are. Okay. Introducing ducks. So, when introducing ducks, if at all possible, what I would do in future is make sure that the ducks that I'm introducing are around about 4 weeks old and no older. These, my original ducks are Fiver, who is my male. This one is Griffin, Nibbler, the other blonde one there, and which one is Achilles? Where's Achilles? Achilles has just gone inside, I think. So one of the black ones, basically. Not this one. I think she's just gone inside. Yeah. So those are my original ducks. You can see that all of the others here, we've got Tenzing, we've got Hillary, we've got Blondie here, Padfoot's in there, I think Padfoot's just jumped inside. This beautiful fella, look at that. Oh, he's so gorgeous. Love the colouring, he's got lovely iridescence. Oh, he's wooing, he's wooing. He's wooing Hillary. Oh, bobbing the head. So, do you fancy a little? I think Hillary's interested. She's interested. Or is he going for, he's going for one of the others? Go on then. Go on then. Go on, fella. Fiver's got a few things to say about that. Fiver doesn't like that at all. I'm not surprised. Oh. Oh dear. That's the first time I've seen that. That's a sign of spring. I'm going to say that's a sign of spring. Ah. Right. Well, from that you can tell that we have a few males in here. And you can tell that by the little curly tail feathers. So we've got one male there. We've got Tenzing is male, this one here. And this one here. There. Who is male. And all of the others that are currently in the pond, ooh, I just got splashed, are female. Which is good, because ideally what I want is a couple of males and 6 to 8 females, I think, would be my ideal. Oh dear God, it's so cold out here. So, you can see it's quite a cohesive group. There is absolutely zero tension, apart from male-on-male violence, between the established group and the younger group. They got on really, really well. I do notice this is Sparkle. She's one of the older two that I introduced when they were 8 weeks old. She likes to stay inside here. She likes to stay inside the little house. And occasionally she will quack very loudly. And Fiver will sprint from the pond up here and go round and into there, and then there's some kind of conjugal visit happens, and then Fiver buggers off back to the pond. So she's getting on well with Fiver, and there's zero tension really between her and the others. She just seems to prefer her space. Now, I had the 4 originals, Fiver and the 3 males. Oh, Fiver's getting frisky. He can't decide who he wants to get frisky with though. I didn't intend this to be duck porn, but it's kind of turning out that way. Oh, here we go. Oh, there we go. Lovely. Come on, mate. Hurry up. Hurry up. I feel impolite talking over this. Go on then. No, she's had enough. Okay. Right, so I had the original 4. It was 5 originally, but I had 2 males and Fiver and the other male were fighting. And frankly, the other male was, should we say, over-amorous with one of the females. And I felt a bit bad for her, so he went. And then I had 4. Then I hatched out the other 2, and they actually turned out both to be female. One of them I've kept, and the other one went away. And then there were the 7 others, all of which I've still got. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how the males grow up and sort of get on with each other. And then I will pick 2 out of Fiver, and I think I've got 3 or 4. I think it's 4 males. Pick 2 out of them just to keep for breeding, and keep whatever females that I want to keep out of them as well. And I really am just looking for temperament, but that doesn't really come out until the males are quite mature, and I won't really know how well they get on together. I'm hoping that Tenzing is lovely because he's big and he's absolutely gorgeous. There he is. This is him here. See if we can get a close up of him. Absolutely. He's going to disappear. It's somewhat difficult, but he's lovely. He's really big and just really cool, and I like him. And Hillary, I think, is gorgeous as well. She's gone inside. They're both quite big. I think those 2 together, I'd be quite interested to see what their babies turned out as, but I don't need any more ducks. Right, introducing ducks. Things oh, for God's sake, Fiver. I do apologise for Fiver. But that just shows you, I mean, that's one of the older females anyway, but it just shows you that we're at the 2 that I first introduced at 8 weeks old. the one that I've got left, she is now 6 months old. 6 months old. And the others, these 3, and some more in there, are now 4 months old. So I've got 6 months old, 4 months old, and ones that are over a year old. Introducing the ones when they were 8 weeks old, that was difficult. I did have to separate Fiver and put him in the cage for, I think it was 3 weeks, and that was a pain in the bum. So that was 3 weeks when I put him in the cage and left him in there during the day, while the 3 females were in here and the 2 others were walking around doing whatever they wanted to do. I don't feel that they have fully integrated, that the one I've got left has fully integrated, and I have a couple of theories for that. I think first off, they were too old when I introduced them. You've got an established flock, and then you've got some older ones sort of being introduced, and they're like, it's like teenagers being introduced to an established adult group. And maybe the adults saw them as a bit of a threat, they were a bit territorial, and that sort of thing. I also think numbers came into it, because I was introducing 2 into a group of 4, an established group of 4. When I introduced the 4-week-old ducks, that was different because A, they were a lot younger. They were pretty much clueless as to the fact that the adults may not want them there, and I don't think they knew enough really to be afraid of them, which really helped in their favour because they didn't run away unless they were properly chased. And I did have one time when Fiver really went for one of them in the pond, and I had to fish it out with that. Otherwise he may well have drowned it. So I would say absolutely 100% watch them when you introduce them, regardless of the age, because Fiver's a big boy. He could drown one of the females if he really wanted to, if he got them and, you know, they couldn't get free. Which is why I think temperament's so important in a male, particularly in a male. They also had numbers on their side, the 7 that I introduced. I introduced 7 to the established flock of 4, and at that point the other 2 hadn't fully integrated, so they outnumbered the adults. One of the females didn't give a hoot, really didn't care about the babies, just completely ignored them as if they weren't even there, just didn't care. One of them tried to assert a bit of dominance, and would actually come up to them and sort of give it a bit of bravado, and the other one would only really have a go at them if they came too close. So there were really differing opinions. Fiver would actually come up to them and challenge them a bit, but because they didn't run away and they sort of ignored him, the wind was somewhat taken out of his sails. So I reckon that the golden time is about 4 weeks old. They're big enough and, stable enough on their feet to actually get away if they need to. Tenzing actually started standing up to Fiver quite early on, which was beautiful to see. It was quite funny, actually. And I would say at 4 weeks, if they do get wet, they've got a little bit of waterproofing, so they're not too bad. So yeah, when it comes to adult ducks, I would be quite hesitant introducing adult ducks. And I think you would have to, if one of your established flock was aggressive towards them, remove that duck and put him or her, it's most likely a him, separate, and let the others really get used to them and really welcome them and, integrate before that duck is then let loose in them, because then that duck is the outsider. That duck is the one that's, going against the group, as it were, because the rest of the group are quite happy with what's happening. That seemed to work with the two older ones. I think a male will most likely accept an older female a lot better than they would accept an older male. I don't think I would want to introduce two adult males together, just based by what I've seen with males that have grown up together. They can fight, and it can be alarming, and it can be vicious. Once you've had them apart for a certain amount of time, once you're basically fed up with having them apart, 2 or 3 weeks down the line, put them together and see what happens. And they may chase each other around the pond, and they may have a go at each other, but I would say do not intervene unless you think that one of them is at risk of being seriously hurt. You know, the ducks, they don't have a sharp bill. They can't do much damage when they peck, unless they catch them in the eye. I don't think a duck pecking another duck could do a lot of damage, or any damage. They might bruise or pull some feathers out, but really that's not the end of the world. If they're fighting in water, one of them might try and hurt the other one by holding its head underwater, then I would intervene. But otherwise, I think they just need to work themselves out. It's a bit like chickens. They've got a pecking order, you know. Please don't take any of this as advice from someone who actually knows. Bear in mind that I've only hatched out 3 lots of ducks. I hatched out my original 5, of which I've still got 4. I then hatched out 2, of which I still have 1, and introduced those 2 to the others at 8 weeks old. And then I hatched out 7, of which I still have the 7, and introduced those at 4 weeks old. And at 4 weeks old, that was a case of bringing them outside, putting them without any barriers between them together, and watching them and being there outside with them in case something happened. And as I say, I did have to fish one of them out of the pond with a fish net. So, you know, be prepared to do that. You might have to get wet this time of year. You might not want to be doing it. But I think, I'm sure 4 weeks is the golden time for me. If I was to hatch out more, I would do it that way, because that way worked. And what I did is I had them outside. I'd maybe sit with them for a couple of hours, let them get together, and then when you've had enough, take them back to wherever it is that they live normally, and just do that really regularly. And I just kept doing that until I felt they were old enough and big enough to be outside and be in with them in there, which was probably when they were about 2 months old. So I basically did the thing where I brought them outside every day for a month. Maybe I was being overcautious. If you have a pond that's just really a paddling pond for them, or maybe you have ducks that don't need a pond, like maybe khaki Campbells aren't so fussed, or runner ducks or something like that, then maybe it's not so much of an issue for you. You don't worry about them getting drowned or whatever. That's what I did, and that's what worked and didn't work for me. With your ducks, maybe it'll be different, but I hope that's useful for someone. I hope that's useful for someone. And if it is, brilliant. Well done. Good luck. Right, you lot. I'm going to go inside because I can't feel my fingers. Bye-bye, beautifuls.